Exemplification writing. So this week we're going to be writing an exemplification essay. And exemplification means explaining an idea by providing specific examples or extended examples. And exemplification is really useful because you can use it across disciplines in different classes to give examples for different writing assignments. So in history class, you may be asked to give examples as to why the Civil War started or why World War I began, and exemplification is going to come into play when you do that kind of thing. So exemplification is really useful, and that's why we're going to start there, is because you can use it for different essays in here, and you can use it in different essays in your other classes. So exemplification is giving examples, and the purpose is to inform. So something that is important to know about exemplification is it's okay to write it in first person, and it's also okay to write it in third person. So it depends on what you're writing about, whether or not you'll use first person or second person. Remember that first person includes I, me, my, our, us, we, writing about yourself. Third person is he, she, and they. So the way you can tell if you're supposed to write about yourself, if the prompt specifically asks you about yourself, use first person. Like the example, what are your 3 favorite movies? But if it asks you something generic, use third person. For example, what are some famous ghost stories? You shouldn't write about yourself in that one, but you can write about yourself when they ask, what are your 3 favorite movies? So when you're creating a thesis statement for your exemplification essay, that's the first thing you always want to do before you write, because it's like a map for you to write. It's also a map for your reader. And for the exemplification essay, you're going to list your 3 main examples as a part of your thesis statement. So with the question, what are your 3 favorite movies? An example thesis statement would be, my 3 favorite movies are Home Alone, Oklahoma, and The Prince of Egypt. Another example for the what are some ghost stories are 3 famous ghost stories are The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Bloody Mary, and La Llorona. So the format for the essay that you're going to do today is going to be the basic essay format, the traditional 5-paragraph. So that means you're going to have an introduction paragraph with a thesis statement at the last sentence. Remember, a thesis is only 1 sentence, and it's the last sentence in the introduction. Then you'll have your 3 body paragraphs. Body 1 is about example 1 from the thesis. Body 2 is about example 2 from the thesis. And body 3 is about example 3 from the thesis. And then the conclusion we'll restate the thesis in new words, and then you'll have a closing sentence that wraps it. So we're going to look at an example of an exemplification essay on eCampus. I'm going to go over it on this video with you, but you'll also need to read the entire essay itself from the document beneath this video. And this exemplification essay is called Spook Stories. And I want you to pay close attention to the format and how the ideas are organized. So here we have an example of an exemplification essay, and again, after you finish watching this video, you do need to go read this entire essay in whole beneath this video. The link is right beneath it to open up the document and read it. So first we're going to start out by looking at the formatting. Please do notice that this is Times New Roman, size 12. It's double-spaced. It has the correct class heading up here, which means that we've got your name as the student, first and last, my name, and please note it does say Professor Stanford. My first name and middle initial are not a part of the heading. It's just Professor and my last name. Then we have our course, the whole thing, which is the DIRW, the level 0 through 10. I've got a hyphen, and then the section number. Notice that there is only 1 hyphen in this right here. There is not a hyphen in between these two, just 1 here. Then we have the date, written day, month, year. Please be aware that it does not have any commas in it. Do not do that. That would be incorrect. It's just day, month, year. And this is MLA format, which we're going to use this semester, and you'll use in Composition 1 next semester. And then you have your title of the essay here, Spook Stories. Please notice that it is centered, but it is not a bigger font. It is not underlined or bolded or anything like that. It looks like the rest of the essay. It's just got capitalization And notice that it's not a complete sentence. It doesn't have end punctuation. There's no period or question mark. It's just kind of giving the reader a general idea of what they're about to read about, which is spook stories. So you know you're going to read about scary stories in this essay. So beneath that we have the first paragraph, which is the introduction. Notice that it's about 5 sentences long, and these first 4 sentences are giving general background information on scary stories, and then it moves us into the thesis down here. It narrows down into what the writer is actually going to talk about. And so the thesis is that same example we saw in the PowerPoint. 3 famous ghost stories are The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Bloody Mary, and La Llorona. So we know that our topic is ghost stories. What are we saying about them is that they are famous, so this is our controlling idea. And then we're going to read about The Legend of Sleepy Hollow in body paragraph 1. We're going to read about Bloody Mary in body paragraph 2. And we're going to read about La Llorona in body paragraph 3. So this is how you would put together an effective introduction for a traditional 5-paragraph essay. Some kind of way to introduce the topic and draw the reader in, and then present the thesis statement as the last sentence. Now beneath that we have body paragraph 1. Notice that it starts with a nice strong topic sentence that tells the reader what the topic of the paragraph is. We say, first, everyone knows the story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. And again, notice, very important that we start with this really nice transition. First, everyone knows the story of Ichabod Crane. That way we know we're moving into point 1. We've got this nice transition showing us we're doing that. So every topic sentence you write, you want to have a transition like this at the front. And so then we got the topic of the paragraph, Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. And we say that everyone knows this story, which is linking back to the thesis that these are famous ghost stories. Now after that, we have all of these sentences written about The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, explaining it, giving examples, telling the story, and then at the end, this last sentence, we just have a summing up of the main idea that the story of the Headless Horseman and Ichabod Crane has yet to diminish in the public's mind even after more than 2 centuries of retellings. So the first sentence says, this is what I'm about to write about, this is the topic of the paragraph. Then we explain the topic of the paragraph, and then the last sentence summarizes the main idea of the paragraph again. Then you move on to body paragraph 2, where we have another really nice topic sentence. Another famous ghost story is that of Bloody Mary, an urban legend well known to most Americans. Again, we have this really nice transition, another, that you always want to use a transition at the start of your body paragraphs, and this shows that we're moving from Sleepy Hollow to Bloody Mary. Then we have the sentences all explaining Bloody Mary, giving examples about Bloody Mary, and then we have our last closing sentence for the paragraph. Either way, Bloody Mary is a famously terrifying tale. So we have topic sentence, explanation and supporting details, and a closing sentence. For the last paragraph, we have, again, a really nice, strong topic sentence. Finally, La Llorona is famous in all parts of the world, in particular Spanish-speaking areas. So we have a nice transition, finally, moving us from Bloody Mary to La Llorona. And again, we're saying that it's famous. We're linking back to the thesis. And then we have our explanation of La Llorona in here, explaining it, giving examples, and we have our closing sentence. Any way it is told, La Llorona is one of the most famous ghost stories in the world. So again, we're just restating that topic sentence down here at the end, and in between those two, we are explaining whatever the point is. Then we have our conclusion, where we have ghost stories can be incredibly spooky. Everyone loves the thrills and chills they provide. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Bloody Mary, and La Llorona are 3 famous ghost stories. Generations will continue to share them for centuries to come. So this right here is the thesis restatement. It's only 1 sentence, but it's been reworded. It is not identical to the one that was in the introduction. Then we have our closing sentence, where it's just making a prediction about the topic. We predict that generations will continue to enjoy these famous ghost stories. So this is a really nice example of an exemplification essay that I want you to look at and read the whole thing so that you can kind of see how they're put together when you're ready to write your rough draft this week. So again, we've got our intro with our thesis statement. We have our body paragraphs, each of which has a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and a closing sentence. And then in the conclusion, we restate our thesis and close. So you'll be writing something very similar to this, but on a different topic, but the structure should be the same. And the formatting should be the same. Correct class heading, times New Roman size 12, double space.